Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
It's going well. Super sweaty because I was just running. I went out to breakfast with the kiddos and
Fun.
took a little longer than I was planning though. So I was like, had to run, make it on time.
It's all good.
Anthony
No
should
worries.
be joining un momento. Yeah. But how's
Awesome.
your week been?
Good. Kids are officially out of school.
Okay.
Summer has begun.
I think they might have been
Everything's
like a
awesome.
week behind my kiddos because my kids have
Been
been
out for a
like,
while.
it feels like it, but like Bella, a lot of her friends are leaving for like the summer or whatever. So they kind of had to squeeze their summer into
Oh,
the first week or two. So
had to get going fast.
yeah, but they haven't been like apart yet. Like either they've all
Oh,
been
cool.
sleeping at our house or somewhere else. Like we had three guys on the couch one night and like her with some
hmm
girls in her room one night. And I'm like, it's great. You're like making memories and stuff.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I have
That sounds fun.
this little thing from
I can't even
my
see.
dental work that I had done. Okay, well, I can. And apparently,
Oh, barely, barely. I
I
can see it.
was, but I was at the hostess stand the other day, and this guy was
Yeah,
trying to be like real polite. He was like on the phone, and he was and I was like, yeah,
it's not ketchup.
I was like, it's a sore. Thank you. Like I just had dental work done. My mouth cracked open. It does it every single time. So but I
It's
just
all
had.
good. So what you do is you look at him and you're like, booger, booger. Like he'll be doing this for the rest of the day. It's all good.
No, he was being kind. He was like,
I know. I just
I appreciate the type of person that's gonna be like, hey, you got a
looking
little.
out for you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true. That is true.
while Anthony's connecting, I'll tell you, he forgot to tell me like an important part about like the Catholic faith, I guess, because I just lisped, I guess, because um I told a woman that she had some stuff on her forehead on Ash Wednesday, but I didn't know.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't
you
know
you
that like
got a little something.
I know. I was like, you got a little something. And she was like real bothered by it, like, excuse
Really?
me. Yeah. And
Sorry, I
I'm
didn't
like, I
know.
didn't know. I apologize.
I claim ignorance. I'm sorry. I'll never do it again.
Exactly. Baba, can you hear
Your
us?
your eyes are super blue today.
Blue? That's funny because I thought
Yeah.
that the green was going to make them green because sometimes they go back and forth.
Yes. They
I
look
think
very
they're more
blue.
green when I
Very
cry,
pretty.
more blue. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, mine turn like more like I was gonna say see-through, but that's not. I'm the only one that can see through them. It's like a light blue if I'm sad and cry.
Yeah.
I know that from
Uh-oh.
when I was like a little kid looking in the mirror while I cried to make myself cry harder. Do you ever do that? You're like,
Looking in the mirror
"Oh,
to make yourself cry
did
harder.
you not ever do that? Well, not specifically to make myself cry harder, but like when you're sad and you're a little kid and you look in the mirror and it just like makes it worse. I don't know.
You know
Was I
what?
the only one that did that?
You're probably not the only one, but I don't have that particular memory now.
That's all right. It's all right.
I guess I
I
didn't
was
get
a
to
weird little
cry in front of a
kid.
mirror too often. No, I was a weird little kid. I'm gonna say I would dare say your whatever you
Weird
do
is
is
different.
probably more normal than whatever I did.
Eh,
Yeah,
depends on the thing, I guess.
yeah.
Okay, I made a horrible mistake also.
Which is
There has been a couple of times where my lovely plant got left in the office with no windows for the
oh
week that I
no,
was out of it, and it is not doing well. So
oh no.
we have a different plant today.
Oh, it's good. Well, I was gonna say it looks good. Apparently,
Okay.
Anthony's trying to join via another Anthony. That'll work eventually. Okay. Do you need a refresher on the video that I was kind of using to spawn this?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
I could always use a refresher.
Do you want me to send it to you so you can watch it real quick?
Yes, let's do that. I was like sitting here trying to remember the ins and outs, and I'm like, you know what? Let's just watch.
Oh, there's Baba.
Yeah,
Hello.
Hello.
All right.
How you doing?
She's
Can
talking to
you
you,
hear me?
baby.
really good.
Good.
Let me see how it looks
Good to
without
see
the
you.
background blurred because I just want to see it. Can I?
Okay. Uh,
You look like you're like, I don't know.
The Slender Man
Floating.
is right behind him. Mm.
Hmm. Okay.
One of the major arguments I keep seeing against Marianne Williamson is that she's anti-science. And one of the factoids that people pull out is that she said clinical depression is a scam. Clinical depression is a scam. Does that mean that you don't feel depressed? No, I'm not saying that at all. Depression exists. But clinical depression in the United States is a scam. Before I start, I'm going to tell you my credentials. I am a scientist full-time studying cognition. My undergraduate degree was in neurobiology and psychology, and my master's degree was in biology. I was studying for a PhD in psychology, but I had to drop out for a multitude of reasons. One of the main ones being my mental health. But there you go. There's one of my 3 degrees. If you have ever had therapy in this country, the majority of times you're going to see that they make this an individual problem, that you are depressed because you have a neurobiological malfunctioning, your serotonin isn't working right, there's something wrong with you. So what do? They prescribe you antidepressants, usually SSRIs or SNRIs. And they don't tell you that these drugs are extremely addictive and that if you go off of them, you can go through severe enough withdrawals that can potentially kill you. Do these drugs work, though? Not really. Study after study shows that they don't actually make any meaningful impact in people's lives. Yet, they keep being prescribed in more and more numbers. The United States is 29th in the world for depressive disorders, but is the largest country on the top 30 list with the highest depressive rates. It is not normal for a population of people to be this depressed. We also have absolutely massive rates of drug overdoses and suicides. These are deaths of despair because people are so sad and so depressed that they just can't take being alive. This is a problem with the system, with what we are living in. We aren't meant to be divided and alone and working 40, 50, 60 hours a week with people that we don't really care about when our families are falling apart at home. We weren't meant to be this stressed out and tired all the time. Your depression is real, but clinical depression as an individual problem, as a problem with your neurobiological functioning, as a problem that can be solved with medication, is a scam. Big Pharma is making millions, if not billions, of dollars and telling people that their depression is their problem. Do not buy into this idea that Marianne Williamson is anti-science because she said things like clinical depression is a scam. She is saying the truth. It is a scam. I am a scientist. She is correct. Please do your own research. There's an excellent video she made called Why Are You So Sad? It's on YouTube. Go watch it.
Okay, so I know that made me go bonkers all kinds of directions because like there were ways that I was like 100% I see what you're saying, and then obviously other ways where I was like bullshit because like Anthony case in point, like it can be hugely helpful. So it was a little too like black and white, but I think as a whole, I agreed with her. What are your first thoughts?
Asking me or Anthony?
You go first, and then Anthony.
Well, I don't think I'm the expert on this because I have very little experience. I had a bout of some postpartum depression after one of my kids, and I was prescribed something pretty mild. In fact, when I took it, I couldn't tell a difference. Like, I'm like, why am I even taking this? This is ridiculous. And so I would go off of it. And every time I would go off of it, somebody in my family within a day would be like, you didn't take it, did you? Like, so I couldn't see it. I couldn't feel it, but clearly it was doing something. And that's as far as my experience goes. It was only like a few weeks of experience, but anyway, let's hear from the people that actually have experience in this.
Well, for me, with bipolar, Big Pharma, I don't care if you're mad at them. If I didn't have my medicine, I wouldn't be able to live. The way I used to be, I would have these explosive outbursts, turn into a horrible person, be mean to everyone, just go into these crazy psychotic episodes, which now are under control because I have prescriptions. So, and I went through a lot. I mean, when it first started, we just thought I was depressed. So I was on SSRIs, then SNRIs, which are all depression anxiety
Um,
meds.
can we start like even earlier than that? When did you first start noticing something was off? Like, is it
Well,
something you've always felt, or?
it's kind of something I always felt. I always knew I was a little off. I didn't understand why I would lose control of my own mind. But I really but I never really knew that my mania, my manic behavior that I now understand as manic behavior. I never knew that what was the problem. I thought the problem was only when I was depressed. So so that's when we started trying out the antidepressants because I did have anxiety, I did have depression, but I forgot to factor in the other half of it, which is the mania side. So it's like I kind of always knew I had a mania side, but
Yeah.
um, it yeah. That so when I first started, I kind of didn't really acknowledge it or treat it though. So
which
and
I
this
think
all
is
happened.
pretty
This all
common.
started when I was 30 something. And when our first dog died, I got really depressed. Um, then that's when I
Like
talked to a
Nephi?
psychiatrist too.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's
Nephi's
when
like
I
a
talked to
dog.
a psychiatrist, and he identified the mania,
Yeah.
and it said, okay, the reason the depression antidepressants aren't working is because you're bipolar.
Yeah.
So
And I saw it earlier than him, just like how you were saying, when you would take your meds, your family would see. Like, I'd
Hmm.
say that the fire is what made him go into like depressive states. Whereas before that, it's almost like he had went from like normal to manic and back and forth, which is why we
Yeah.
considered it like basically a temper. He's
Yeah.
Italian, he's blah blah blah. There's always
Uh-huh.
some
Always some
reasons
excuse for
of
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Interesting. Keep
yeah.
going. I like this.
yeah, well, it takes years to get your medicine right. When you're like me, it can take years to get the right cocktail of prescriptions. But now I take like a mood stabilizer, an anxiety pill, an antipsychotic, um, another pill that brings dopamine into the brain. I can't remember it, but it's awesome. And yeah, and lithium, which is a big one for bipolar people. It
I have heard lithium
keeps your
is
emotions.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Like it
it
is.
keeps your emotions within normal range of like where like before you slip out into the mania or depression. Lithium is a huge mood stabilizer.
Hmm. So Anthony, I think, is a really prime example of somebody who like truly needs the medications that are there. You know what I mean? Because there's people doing
Yeah.
research and it's not all for naught. There are people with need. But what I keep seeing and what this
Mhm.
video made me think of is how I keep seeing Anthony's what's the word? Anthony's symptoms that I
Uh-huh.
saw in him in like huge sections of the population. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, like my friends going through, horrible things with boyfriends where I'm just like, but that sounds like really similar. That, so I do
Hmm.
see that societally, like things aren't working and it's literally driving people crazy because they're manifesting the same symptoms that like Anthony has. And while his is treated by those things because he truly has a chemical imbalance, like what I took from it, and she was saying, was that like the system at a whole is why everybody is so depressed. Like we don't all have what Anthony has, but now it's appearing that everybody does. You know what I mean?
We're all getting there. Like
Yeah, but he like
uh
Yeah.
literally stories from when he was very little, his family has told me, and when like just the little things
yeah.
from when we were first getting together, the things people would say that are now like aha, I get why they said that.
Little
At the
light
time, I
bulbs.
was like,
Hmm.
wow, they're kind of jerks, They would be like, wow, you're amazing. You can handle him. And I was just like, he's amazing. What are you talking about? Like, you're not talking about the same person I know, you know? Because
Yeah,
I hadn't
absolutely.
experienced any part of that, but it was known. You know what I mean? It wasn't like
Yeah.
the system, which I don't know. There could be a time in his life where like things happened and his body kind of like created a way for him to survive in that. And sometimes that is that he has like the wrong reactions to things because it's a protective thing. But I mean,
Yeah.
as far as Anthony said, like there's no major triggers or anything in his life, that would have like brought this on per se, right, Baba?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
No,
if anything, he had probably like one of the most like idyllic, perfect.
upbringings.
Yeah.
Oh,
Pretty
yeah.
like really supportive parents, really like I would even say kind of forward thinking,
Loving home,
loving,
yeah.
exactly. But what he never experienced was change, I guess. That's the only thing I can ever really think of and pinpoint when like it really started going bad and stuff like that. But really he didn't have like a trauma though.
Yeah.
You know how they always say like
Nothing
there's
that,
something to tie it to or whatever, you know?
not always.
Apparently not always, yeah.
Yeah.
But like as a society, obviously so like the way we're doing things, something's not working because we have like huge sections of people who are just struggling and meds really are just making them catatonic. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I had a sentence and it wouldn't come out my mouth. That was really weird. Like it got jammed somewhere in there.
Uh-huh.
That was crazy. But yeah, no, I get that totally. And I think I was listening to something this week on someone comparing the average income from like the 1950s to today.
Mm-hmm.
And the income, like a $50,000 or $60,000 a year income was equivalent to like $400,000 a year.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know exact numbers. Don't quote me on these, but it was a huge gap. And it's just like, oh,
Well, and
okay,
we
no,
can
I get it
see
because
yeah, we can see the
because a
difference in like how people
postman and
used to live. Yeah.
postman, janitor, your basic everyday jobs could provide a home for their family, like a comfortable home and
Mhm.
college education and a couple of vacations, a year,
Yeah.
summer vacation with the family and, basic human
Yeah.
functioning
And
needs.
now,
And now it's a stress and it's a lot. It's a lot.
yeah. And then if you take that money that you get, let's say for a tax return and blow it on a vacation for your family, then people are angry because you just don't know how to manage money. And when it's like, dude, that's their one chance to live,
Yeah.
like,
Uh-huh. Well, and there's a lot more expenses now. Like it used to be you would have one phone for the whole family
yeah.
in your house, and now everybody's got to have one, right? It's just the way
Yeah.
it is. And electronics, everything that plugs into the internet, all the like the higher you get in school, the more you need like a laptop. You need I don't know. I'm having trouble with the words today.
That's all right.
But yeah,
But I
you
get
get the
what you're
point though.
saying.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of things that they didn't need back then
Yeah.
that we need to balance out now.
And we didn't have
Like-
access to, like, I'm a big, like, I'm an advocate for social media and stuff because the way that we share information. But I'm also right now
Yeah.
seeing a way that I wish that like my kids didn't always have access to their friends so readily, like when drama happens and stuff, to be able to like respond on demand instead of sit in it
Yeah.
and think about it and take a break
Yep.
from each other. I'm like, oh, heck.
Maybe
Yeah,
talk to a couple people, talk to your parents, talk to somebody, and then come back to the problem instead of just, oh crap, they saw that I read it. I have to respond right now.
Yeah. But like you're right, and access to like so much stimulation is like our brains are just not, I think, equipped to handle it. And it's
I have such a
breaking
problem with
them or
that.
something.
I have a
With what?
huge problem with that. With just constant stimulation. That's like it's an addiction. It really is.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to be like on my phone less and to avoid the things like playing little games. I can get lost in those for hours. I gotta like stop, not even touch them. Like there's a time and a place, but it can't be in my everyday life.
Yeah, we
I'm
all.
getting off track here, but yeah,
No, that's
that's
it's totally on track. Those are the types of things we also use, I think, to like for me, I use it to calm my, like, I don't know if this is gonna make sense, but I'm like, I feel like really overstimulated too, but I'm also just have such a like, my mind is everywhere that sometimes
Uh-huh.
if I can be playing a game and it's literally
Mhm.
I'm putting a little bit of my focus there, I can focus on something else better.
It stops the
'Cause
rest of the
otherwise
world from
I
spinning.
I have like a little too many thoughts.
Mhm.
I don't know.
No, I get that.
What do you think,
I
Baba?
absolutely get that.
I think that it's crazy that there are people in this world that actually don't have an inner dialogue going on in their head. I found out that there are people who don't have a constant talking, chattering going on in their head, their own thoughts like crazy. I was so jealous when I heard that.
Yeah.
Because like
Yeah.
you need a game to steady yourself. The games help. It's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Have you ever noticed any triggers for like things you can do for better mental health, or things that like I can't do that because that makes me yell at people? That's how I describe things. Sorry.
I don't know what triggered. I don't know what triggers the episodes. They would just happen. It would just be, we could be
Yeah.
talking about something normal, and all of a sudden I'll go into a rage and not and think, I don't know, and it could be anything. So I think the problem was that my chemicals were already off balance, and I was already in like a broken mode, and then like anything would come along and trigger it. So I don't think there's anything in particular that I would like avoid. Like obviously don't want to. I want to avoid confrontations and that, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I just noticed with myself, like if I'm playing video games a lot during a day, I'll like be, what's the word? More short with people. I'm like, oh, so I've got to, anyway, I have to monitor what I'm doing and how I react to people after I do certain activities.
I feel that. I can't tell you
yeah.
the activities I do. It might be like the get up on a Saturday morning and decide that everything needs to be clean. Like
I think that's just the
that
mom
changes
gene, isn't
the
it?
mood for sure, but I don't know. Yeah, I think it is.
It has to be done every now and then.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
All right. So I had like so many thoughts that made me think, and now I feel, ooh, where's mine?
I got nothing.
That's all right. We got to keep one of
I have a
us.
plant, but it's staying in plant form.
Oh, I like this form of plant. I like your form of plant too. I'm keeping those
It's all
alive a
good.
lot better lately. Did you know if you water them, they stay alive longer?
And you like don't leave them in a closet where it's dark and has no windows. Yeah, I've noticed. I've noticed. My daughter saw it and she's like, "Mom, what have you done?" And I'm like, "I don't know.
I don't know how to keep this alive."
I know how to keep it alive. I just didn't.
Yeah.
Like I leave the room and then it's non-existent for the next week. So I usually take everything with me.
Isn't it a closet? You're in a closet like me?
It's like a closet slash room. It's a really small room, but it's too big to be called a closet. I don't know. It's a half and half. When we first started, I was in like a little closet, but this means little closet, I guess.
I went back and like watched a little of some of our first ones, and you're
we're really good.
I liked your background though. It was cute. Now you look very talk showy though. You've got a whole.
I look very talk showy.
It's good. It's good though.
I
You've got the scenery in the background and everything, and the plant.
It's the real city behind me. That's what Burley looks like.
For those of you who don't know Burley, Idaho, there it is.
Right. Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's been a little crazy here.
Something else that like the mental health thing makes me think of is the way that so many people also don't accept that they have any type of mental health problem, and they medicate still though, but they just medicate with, alcohol and stuff, but they don't see it in the slightest. But from like the other side of the glass looking in, seeing people
who know can pick it out really quickly.
Well, just that, they absolutely have no problems despite, and then they need alcohol all the time. And I'm like, you don't see that that's the same thing. You're essentially just like, we're all kind of drugging away the problems instead of attacking them head on. Like she said, it doesn't, like we shouldn't all be this depressed. Like we shouldn't all, like, this is a more like overall problem. Like, but of course with people like Anthony, like there's a problem to be addressed on that. Mental health is still a very real
Yeah.
thing. It's just that I think we're using it too broadly to like encompass societal failures, you know?
Yeah. There's some that could be cured with giving people a way to live life in a peaceful,
Just allowing people out of
unstressed manner.
survival mode, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not everybody, but
Not
No.
everybody. We
It
don't want
could- it
everybody
could
out of
only-
survival mode.
no. We do want everybody out of survival mode, but like there are people who would be like depressed or bipolar or any of those things regardless.
Yes, and that's where
But,
the
yeah.
medicine comes into play, and where
Mhm.
I'm really grateful that there's been a lot of research and stuff that's gone into that. Just
Yeah, absolutely.
because, you know, like
Hmm.
in Anthony's case, like now with medicines, I'd say you're living a pretty normal life now, right?
Yeah, I get to live life. I have to be myself all the time. I don't go into explosions where I turn into some monster.
That's
I-
awesome.
Yeah,
I can see the difference in like the pictures that Rachel posts on Facebook. There's just a difference to you. You look
that's
good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But yeah, it's very, very helpful. Do I think there are people that overuse them? Probably. I mean,
For sure.
I think one thing I'm all over the place today. ADHD in Utah. It's a big thing, but Mormons, a lot of them don't drink caffeine. And that's what a lot of people with ADHD just kind of use to self-regulate, because caffeine in a person with ADHD will actually calm them down more.
Oh.
And so Utah has the highest rates of like Adderall and Ritalin use.
I didn't know that. But
Because-
it makes so much
Huh?
sense. I said I didn't know that,
Yeah.
but it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because they don't drink caffeine. Anyway,
You remember when I first came to be a nanny with your cousins, Baba?
Oh my gosh.
they-
Yeah.
I was just so innocent and so just naive to so many things. And they were like, if we get you a Starbucks coffee, will you drink it? We just want to see what happens. Because they were like laughing because I was already so high energy and I talked so fast. They're like, we just want to see if, your head explodes. We just want. So I was like, all
Yeah,
right.
we thought she was going to explode.
And I drank it. And guess what it did? Nothing.
did it calm you down?
It might have a little bit.
Oh, there we
Might have a
go.
little.
You might have a little ADHD
There you
going.
go.
Oh, I know that.
Can you imagine
I know that.
us
I
in
just also
college?
see it as my superpower. I learned how to use it for good instead of squashing it.
Mine goes like this. I don't know if I really have it, but I've wondered a lot.
I mean, that's another thing where I'm like, I'm sure some of us have true ADHD, whereas some of us
Mhm.
just have the way our brains have
Tendencies.
developed to deal with the world around us. And when the world around us
Yeah.
is causing pain and hardship and stuff, we're constantly in like a fight or flight mode, which makes us all, just
Messes with your internals.
unregulated. And yeah. Like
Yep.
one of the things that like how I was saying, I think Anthony's, like some of his stuff was brought on, maybe like obviously he had it, but I think it was triggered by large changes because like
Yeah.
people with bipolar disorder
Moves and fires.
they
and-
need routine anyways. And then we had these huge changes, and then
Mhm.
I watched how I seemed almost like a sociopath who like was unfazed. But I was phased, I experienced it, but also I'd already experienced so much change and so many things that it was like, this is a Tuesday, like it just
Yeah,
didn't
right.
affect me the same way.
We'll get through this just like we got through the last 30
Exactly.
years of your life.
Exactly. So I'm like, in some ways, I think it also like speaks to kids being exposed to more change and like learning
Yeah.
it's okay, like how to live outside of like their little bubble. I think
Oh, that's huge.
being so like having such a small world makes it hard to see the whole world.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, back in like ancient times, old days, whatever, not that long ago, like within
1999.
right in the early 20th century. No, like before cars, before airplanes, people kind of lived in the same 10-mile radius.
Yeah.
Like going 10 miles out of your way was a big trip. And So it's easy to see why people would think like a big storm meant God was mad at them, or an earthquake or an eclipse or something like that, because that was their whole world. And all of
Yeah.
a sudden it was being upended by something they didn't understand. Whereas now we're like, oh, hey, we track the moon. This is when an eclipse is coming, or there's a storm coming. Watch out. Or,
Yeah.
you know, any number of things. It is good to expand your world and to educate yourself and to have a greater understanding.
And I think it's good for the mind. You know?
Oh, absolutely.
So your worldview doesn't get upended just because you see outside of your own little lens. Because I felt a little that way as I was like changing and coming out of like being part of a high demand religion. Like it was just.
Yeah, to
and
have
like,
everything you thought you knew flipped around a little bit.
yeah, and the anger at the life
A
I
lot of it.
missed because of what I perceived to be lies.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a little of that, but I also think I experienced a life that I wouldn't have had the chance to otherwise. Like we in college, I think we were about as innocent as two college girls could possibly be.
And
Like,
something about that was so
to a
beautiful.
fault.
And I'm here and it
Yeah.
was, yeah. To a fault is right though, because we literally like we're just lucky we're not dead.
Yeah. Very trusting, very silly, but I don't know where if
wouldn't trade it
people
for the
get to-
world. Yeah, no, it was
Yeah.
amazing and I want to recreate it too.
Yeah.
But like
It's hard.
yeah, it's hard. But I think I still would have had those types of things because it wasn't
Yeah.
the fact that I was being all good that made me have fun. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
was the type to push to get out of like go and do things anyways. And
You're very
Wow.
good at that.
yeah, there's just
Yeah.
aspects of life that I would have lived so differently or even hate that I like spread. I remember saying things to people,
Oh,
like reiterating what I learned at church, you know, hate the sin, not the sinner. And it would be like,
right.
I'm
even
not
just-
judging you. I'm making a judgment for myself. So you don't get to be hurt
Right.
by it anymore. Just go to hell already.
Or even just looking at people and being like, oh, if only they had the truth, you know, if only they
Yeah.
insert religious thing
Yeah.
here. Like,
Granted.
instead of seeing people as just people and everybody's living a life and there's good people everywhere. Like,
yes. I
and
feel
bad people
literally
even in the church.
better now than I ever did. And maybe it's because I could look at myself and not judge myself through the lens of that either and look at everything that's wrong with me. Because I know I was a good person then too. It's just that I was a good person who held on to some hateful beliefs, and letting those go makes me feel like I'm a better person. But
yeah,
getting on the whole Christian thing, I know I've been a little too like bashy lately. I decided I had to.
Have you?
Yeah. I like last
I'm
one
sorry.
hasn't been posted yet, but I got a little ranty on it. I remember because I really am angry.
You're allowed.
I know, but I'm angry about things because of the state of the world and that people are using like underneath the guise of conservative. They're doing some pretty bad things, and I had to like remind myself I need to stop being so negative about like Christianity and stuff. Because I would say that my parents and your parents and Anthony's parents they're all Christian, and they're some of the most amazing people I know. Like they are truly Christian. I need to remember that like it's not the Christians that are the problem. It's the people using Christianity as a cover-up that are a problem. And we
As a weapon.
and the Christians should be mad together that somebody's using that and like forwarding like progress and or not forwarding progress, stopping progress. Have I told you about, or did you
Depends on what kind of progress you're looking for. Yeah.
Well, what kind of progress I'm looking for is to continue progressing and not regressing. Like the state house.
I meant the general you. Like, like some people's idea of progress is very different from others.
For sure. Well, for me, I see that the state house in Missouri now made it like women must have their arms covered in the state house in Missouri, and I see that as a real slippery slope.
For real? Just have your arms covered
at the state house in Missouri. Yeah. And then couple that together with all the other
porn
like
shoulders again.
Yes, still to the like the states have like starting to they were all had it in their back pocket ready to move forward all these little legislations that would bring back, you know, just beliefs that are theirs and theirs alone, but then put them well, not theirs alone. Obviously, there's too many people who believe it, but they inflict it on other people essentially. Like, look at the women in Iran in the 1970s, and then look at them today, and then not be scared about watching all these things change and like stupid like things be repealed and women's rights, and just it's just scary. So I'm like, I need to stop being mad at like Christianity as a whole, because I know that I love like the people. So I had to put that out there because I felt bad about my
your rant
my
against
outburst
Christianity.
Yeah. Because it's
Well,
not
I think we're a lot
Christian that makes me angry, and I want them to have their thing. I just want them to keep it to themselves.
Yeah. Well, on most things, I would say all of us as human people are probably pretty close in our beliefs, whether you believe it's God mandated or just common sense, like, hey, we should treat each other kindly. We shouldn't murder each other. We should have some sort of ethics that like don't be assholes. Like,
it's almost like you don't even need a God to need those things. Yeah.
Right. Weird. But whether you do have a God or whether you don't, I think we can all come together. And I think there needs to be a lot more uniting instead of an us versus them mentality. Because even in churches, you're like, oh, you're Baptist, I'm Lutheran. Like, I guess, like it's just something to divide us.
Yeah. Well, like, and the video that the girl in the podcast referenced for Marianne Williams, which I'm not like a advocate for her, but I've liked a lot of what she's said, so I don't know enough to like really speak on her, but I went and checked out that video, and it's mostly about just how like lonely people are, and I think it's true. And there's also this other TikTok I'll have to send to you, but it's just this guy from Italy talking about how like their families there, like they stay together longer and they really support each other, like their old people stay in their homes versus going to like homes and stuff like that. And just, I think they're healthier and better off for it. But the problem here is
families.
Yeah, but the problem here is there's so much divide, even just within the families, because of all the cultural divide that like and all the anti, like trans or LGBTQ, where people are like alienating their own children. Like, we can't have that love that they have, where like the family stays together until the family starts loving the family again, regardless of who they are.
Yeah. And we're just talking over the top of Anthony. Do you have anything to add?
No, I'm just listening.
Welcome to Anthony's life. I'm sorry, Baba.
Oh no, you're great. I enjoy listening to both of you.
Yeah. Did you have any other thoughts though, Baba?
Nope.
Good to know. Good to know.
All right. Well, I guess then that's pretty much all I wanted to do, was like talk about what that made my brain, think about. So,
well, one thing that I really appreciate is Anthony and people like Anthony coming on and talking about their personal experiences, because that's something that's also new to the last few years. Like before, if you had any sort of a mental illness or an issue or anything, you would just keep it quiet and like, oh, we don't talk about that. And I think it's super helpful for people to see themselves in other people and be like, oh yeah, I have felt that, or I've seen that in people that I love, and it's okay. It's just life. There's ways through it. You don't stop loving people.
Yeah.
My camera keeps switching back and forth.
Oh, does it? It didn't change on my side.
Oh, it was going from you to me, to you to me.
Oh, I see the green. There's like a green thing around the edge when we talk, but anyways.
Yeah, you guys have got different views. I have it on gallery view. We're like
okay.
over here.
There we are. Yep.
I think I don't know what gallery view is, but I see all three of us.
Okay, then that's gallery view.
And I see the glistening sweat on my face. Just kidding. I can't see anything.
Glowing.
It's too bright.
You just glow.
Yeah. Actually, me and Anthony both have too much light. I feel like yours looks less glowy.
More muted.
Good. Yeah, it looks good. What do you use in a lamp?
I have two little Walmart lamps that I stick right next to my camera.
I'm gonna do it.
That is all.
All right. Anyways, though, you were saying, that
I was just saying
people haven't been able to
on.
Yeah, but people haven't been able to
talk about it.
speak as openly until recently.
Yeah.
And now it is everywhere, and people are like, oh, now everybody's depressed. And it's like, yeah, no, now everybody's just finally saying it. I mean, I think you could look back to the 50s and see a lot of people who were pretty depressed and taking it out in
Yeah.
pretty unhealthy ways, like the drinking and the beating the
Yeah.
wife and, the old.
I mean, 100 years ago, if your wife was really sad after having a baby, you'd take her to the doctor and you'd prescribe her cocaine. Like, it's,
Yeah.
it's stuff like this has been around for a while. So it's
Yeah,
been part of
exactly.
everything.
Yeah,
So,
for reals.
but yeah, we really appreciate you coming in and talking about it. And I'm glad you guys have found things that work for you. And
Yeah. Well, I'm
it's
gonna
good to see you guys
say it again.
happy.
We need to start writing the book, Baba.
Yeah.
He was planning on writing a book, Bipolar and Baked, about like how much cannabis helped in his kind of like just getting on the right meds,
Yeah.
even just giving him something to get through. It wasn't the only answer. He still needed medicine, but it like hugely
Yeah.
like saved like our life as we know it. Yeah. So it's good.
Yeah.
We're gonna like write it
That
together.
devil weed.
Though. The
Mm.
devil
Just
weed.
kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean that's I mean, I never thought I was the
How
devil,
it was-
but I definitely
didn't
was
even-
like, I mean, I'm better than you because I don't do it, but do what you want to do, you know? Do you remember
But I'm not going.
Jana?
I'm not going to that concert. Yeah.
Oh my God. Do you remember how I ended up making a date leave yeah, that's embarrassing. So
Yeah.
embarrassing.
I would have done the
And-
same thing. It's so funny.
I
now.
know, but it
But-
didn't, and I was like, I think I'm getting a contact high. And now I'm like but do you remember Jana from
Yes, I do.
Hickory Kiss? We were going out somewhere to do something, and she was like, "Can I smoke a bowl real quick?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't care what you do." Like, really chill. But I remember being like, like just
Those feelings settle in. Like,
yeah, like. But I was so
if only she had the truth.
exactly embarrassing. Anyways, all right. But thanks for playing, Baba, and thanks
Yeah,
for
thanks for
coming to
coming on.
today's podcast.
Yeah.
Mouse
next
store
time
that I
I'll be
can't
able
not
to
look
talk
at.
more.
What'd you say?
Hopefully next time I'll be able to talk more.
Oh,
Generally.
you just gotta
You're
shout
great.
over us. Yeah.
No, and maybe next time the words will go from my brain to my mouth in the manner that I would like them to. Today it wasn't happening. Sorry.
Everybody did excellent. All right.
We did so good. Gold stars for all of us.
Ding.
Let's go get some Starbucks.
Hey, did you watch the most recent podcast that I posted on there?
I started it. I haven't finished
Okay,
it yet.
you got to finish it because Jesse did some interaction with us. I loved it. It was funny.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Sweet. Okay.
All
I'm in. I'll go finish it right now.
right. Well, I Lilas and I love you.
Lilas. Anthony,
you-
good to see you as always.
Yep.
Mwah.
Mwah. Bye.
Subscribe up there.
Subscribe.
There's a subscribe up there.
Okay.
Like the button.
Okay.